Chains and trees. That's the topic for today, and we're gonna look at how they keep our animals safe and protected. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Arland Hill, and welcome back out to Harvest Hills Ranch. We enjoy being out here with the cattle and coming out every morning and having the opportunity to move them and interact with them. And I realized as I was spending some time with them yesterday afternoon and we were setting up our new lines to move the cows into the new pasture area, that I've never spent any time talking about how we do that, how we keep the cattle contained in specific areas, and what our thought behind this is. And I thought I'd take you along with me this morning and let you see exactly how we do this. And as I alluded to in the beginning of the video, we try to use resources around us. So you'll see I'm surrounded by forest here. My pastures are surrounded by forest. And when we have the opportunity, we try to incorporate in some of the landscape to help us be able to keep these animals contained. Now, let me show you first of all how we do this and just talk through a couple of the pieces here that are integral to our system. What you'll see here are everything that I have and that's outlined is going to be hot wire, electric wire. And rather than just being a steel wire, these are actually strands of fiber with wire woven into them. And I think there's about 9 strands of actual electric wire woven into that. But the reason this is such a unique wire is because it's extremely flexible, and we can bend, we can turn, we can move the wire around and just really make shapes with the paddocks that we're moving the cows into to suit what our needs are. So when I don't have a perfectly rectangular area to move the cows into, this is ideal because I can make those turns with that. Now, we have this hooked up to a main source, and if we look at where this is coming from, I've probably got literally maybe close to probably over 1/4 of a mile of this line ran to this point that we're at right here, and then I needed it to cut across the pasture and just stop the cows from moving into this new segment of grass. The way we maintain that electricity on this wire going across right here is we use these jumpers. Now, these are easy to use. We just hook up one source real quick to another, and with that we're able to keep electricity on one source and move it directly into another, and that way it keeps the cows back. Now you may look at this and you think, well, wow, these animals, these are 1,000-pound animals, is about what weight we try to get to with these guys, and this single strand of electric wire keeps those animals back. Well, it's a psychological game to them. We don't want to get shocked. This is a pulse shock. Matter of fact, once in a while, we end up shocking ourselves with this, and it happened to me yesterday morning. But as soon as they touch that, they're gonna get off of it because they don't wanna be continuously shocked. Now, what I wanna do is I'm gonna pick this line up, and I'm gonna go down to the other end down here, and I'm gonna show you exactly how we use the landscape around us to set up our system, to set up our containment area. But what is also important to note is that in running this type of system, the cows become accustomed to staying together, to staying grouped. And it's important to keep these animals protected, whether that be from coyotes that we have in the area, especially when we have calves on the ground. We don't want them to become vulnerable. So the more we can train the animals to move as their natural herd, the safer they're gonna be, one, but then also as we get into the warmer months where we're really starting to put a lot of pressure on the ground, on the pastures to have some positive impact on them, one of the things that we're going to do is keep the cows much tighter, and these electric wires allow us to do that safely for them versus say when you ride down the road and you see cows just scattered out across a pasture. We just use a different system here where we try to keep those cows mobbed together as close as we can together during the warmer months. I don't have them so much like that right now because we're just getting into spring and I want them moving extremely fast across the pastures. That's gonna put, we don't wanna overgraze the pastures right now, but when the plants have more vigor, we can put more pressure on them. So that's the tools that we use. We like to use these Gallagher reels. I've just found that with these reels, they're nice. They have these nice handles on them that protect us from getting hit with the electric wire. which can happen once in a while, so that prevents some shocks here and there. But let me roll this up. You guys are gonna have some entertainment here as the cows move across into their new grass. They always enjoy, as soon as this line starts coming up, they usually start filing in right behind me. So let's get this up, and then I'll show you on the other side how we use the trees and the chains to anchor these systems, as opposed to having to put new lines in or new posts in to anchor these with. Well, here's what I was referring to on the other side of the pasture. We have these chains, and what I've done here is wrap the chain around the tree, as you can see there, and I've used one of these step-in posts as my anchor. So now I can just take my line, not have any special kind of handle. We can use these handles on the barbed wire fence. We can tie them into these step-in posts, and it doesn't require any kind of special attachment here on the end of the line to be able to use this system that we've come up with. So we've got that, and then literally we just take these clips and just hook these chains up, wrap it through the post here, and that way we can pull hard on these posts, but because of the chain, it's gonna stay firmly against the tree, and that way we can take the slack out of the electric fence as we need to. So this is when we're just running and cutting off sections of pasture. But let me take you down to another area at the end of this paddock where, again, it's not a perfectly square area down there, and it starts to drop off into some low area, which we keep the cows out of. And what I'm gonna show you is how we anchor these to trees and then turn and put a lot of pressure against these lines, but we can make turns in our lines without having to set up too many different lines. So let me show you what I mean by that. So we'll walk down there. Here we are down in the back of our property where it drops off pretty aggressively, and we don't want the cows going back beyond this area. It's too wet, especially this time of year down in here. We really can't get too much down in here with animals until later on in the summer when it's really dried out quite a bit. But for the purpose of what we're talking about today, you'll see we've still got the chain that's anchoring this step-in post to the tree, and rather than having a handle wrapped through this time, instead what we're doing this is just using this not as an anchor point, but just as one of the points along our entire line. And the nice thing is that, I mean, this metal it's solid, but it's not, it will bend if you put enough pressure on it. And when we anchor these to the tree, that's not going to happen. If I was just using this by itself, it would bend over when I started to put a lot of pressure and pull on it. And so now we have a really solid anchor point here, and we're not bending these over and potentially bending these step-in posts over time. This is a great way with all the electricity, with the voltage that's going through here. There's several thousand volts going through these lines in that pulse manner. So this is a great way as we come down this hill, or as we get to the end of these paddocks and along the outer perimeters of these paddocks, that we keep these animals in. They've been broke to this hot wire. They know that that's where we want them to stay at for the period of time that they're in here, and they don't challenge this. With the electricity running through here, they know that as soon as they touch that, they get off of it, and they just don't challenge it. They are funny. They will eat up under the lines. They know almost to a half of an inch, if you will, just how far they can reach under these lines to new grasses and not get shocked. They're pretty smart that way. But this is how we use it when we have an anchor point, or when we don't have an anchor point, but when we're just using it as a continuous point in a line somewhere. So a lot of resources that we have at our disposal that we can take advantage of, rather than having to buy an expensive post and put in here and make that permanent. This is something that we can keep the system flexible. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm clearing out shrubby area that doesn't have any good trees in it. It just has more invasive species type trees that we're not necessarily focusing on growth. And what I can do is keep clearing that back, and as I clear that back, because of the flexibility in this, I can keep running this line back further and further into the cleared area and allow the cows to move across that and put pressure down on that area, drop their manure on that area. And as the microbial activity and the nutrients in that area begins to change, we get different species that want to proliferate in that area, and we see grasses start to come along over time as well. So a lot of reasons that we've implemented this system, and it's been a good one for us. So I thought I'd share this with you. I don't often get to talk about some of the tools and resources and the way that we use these things, but this was just an idea that saved us some money, kept things flexible for us. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to sign off here. I am Dr. Arland Hill. Hey, if you like the content, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to see more information about how things happen on a regenerative farm and what we're doing to keep the nutrition in our animals high, to keep them safe, keep them protected, and just overall what takes place out here, hey, hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you join us. Until the next one, guys, take care. Dr. Arland Hill. We'll see you soon.